Hey guys, what's up? It's once again, it is mp4podcast.com, bringing you guys the most interesting side-by-side comparisons that you guys really do need to know about. First off, I want to say that these stills, yes, they are from the IGN side-by-side comparison video. Link to the IGN video will be in the description box of this video. Also, I want to quickly say that the port for the PlayStation 4 version is done by the studio that did the Tomb Raider reboot. So the creators of this game did the PS4 port. Now the Xbox One version was outsourced to another studio and they did the port for the Xbox One. Now I will say this, there are some scenes where the Xbox One version does look better. There are other scenes where the PlayStation 4 version looks better. I don't really know which system can do better special effects than another. It also may come down to what artist at what studio is more competent in the software he's using. So you also have to take that into consideration. Is Mike better or is Jim better at at the different studio? You can also do a head-to-head of what artist is better. So anyway, let's get into the side-by-side comparison video. Right over here we have the Xbox One version, and we can see that the lighting looks much better on the rocks right over here, and the ground looks better, and also you can see that Laura does have more detail. You can see the gray inner shirt with the blood stains, and you can see a little bit of brown still, very little brown, but it's still there. Where on the PlayStation 4 version you don't have that nice shine that's on the rock. It just looks like it's just a texture and it's just there. It doesn't look like there's light actually bouncing off from the torch. Also, the pants are just silhouette black. You don't really see any detail in her pants at all, and there's very little. It looks like a little bit on her shirt. There might be, but it just looks like a brighter color of dark gray. Now, right over here, the Xbox One version does look better. As you can see right over here, the rocks, this detail right over here, looks better than the PS4 version. As the PS4 version, it looks flatter. Also, when you look at the rock over here, this big giant rock over here, it looks much more interesting over here. It looks, like a real rock that you would find maybe in an environment like this. Also, the ground where Laura is running on, it also looks better. It looks like there's more detail on the floor, and again, there's more detail on her shirt and on her pants, and this seems a little bit darker on the PlayStation 4 version. I will say that maybe the boot looks a little bit better over here with the lighting, but maybe that's because of the footsteps or what footsteps she's taking. It looks like looks like her leg is a little bit pulled in a little bit more on this still over here, but that might just be that. Now over here we have better lighting over here, as we can see more detail over here. Also, there's more lighting on her shirt right over here, and you can see more detail on her pants. Now on the PlayStation 4 version, you don't see that nice shine on the rocks. Maybe the Xbox One has something better in their drivers or something for lighting effects. I don't know. We're just seeing that a lot more. What's funny is when there are outside scenes with Tomb Raider, which I'll show you guys later, the PS4 version looks better than the Xbox One, but when she's in caverns, the Xbox One version looks better. As you can see, her pants are darker and so on. And here's the Xbox One version, PS4, Xbox One, PS4. Now again, here is a PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. Now the PC version, it's from last year. A lot of the effects that were added into the PC version that the 360 and PS3 version didn't have. The PC version has some extra stuff like hair effects and so on, but it didn't have the extra lighting effects that the PS4 version and the Xbox One version got. Now, as you can see, the lighting on her face and her pants looks a lot better than the PC version. Okay. Now I'll say right over here, the lighting, I do think it's better in the Xbox One version than the PS4. However, I still think the PS4 version looks pretty good over here. The shine on her head is a little softer on the PS4 version. And actually, from a photography point of view, that's something you would actually want to have as a softer light. But I will say that, you know, I would say that besides the shine, I still like the Xbox One version better. So now we have the Xbox One and we have a PlayStation 4 stills right over here. And as you can see, it looks like there's more lighting over here, you know, and on her back, where it's just darker on the PlayStation 4 version. Now it does look like the textures over here where this rec plane is, the textures do look a little bit softer on the Xbox One version. However, they do seem to be sharper on the PlayStation 4 version, which is interesting. Now over here, this still right over here, they almost look identical except for the jaggies, small jaggies on Laura's shoulder on the PlayStation 4 version. Over on the Xbox One version, these are very smooth, and we'll just try to bring these up a little bit. As you can see, that's a little bit more pixelated over here, but on the Xbox One version it's much smoother. Okay, so moving on to the next picture. Okay, we're gonna look at her here, and I would say the PlayStation 4 version, if I had to call it, might seem like it has a little bit more pink. But other than that, the hair on both of them almost look identical, except for, you know, the Xbox One looks a little bit more thinner right over here on her face, where the PS4 version does look like the hair coming down on her eye looks a little bit more thicker. It's almost like, you know, the hair is a little bit different. You know, that you could look at two different people in real life with, you know, similar hairstyles, where one would actually, you know, maybe one's hair is a little bit thicker or something like that. So here is the PlayStation 4 version and the Xbox One. Now here on the PC, as you can tell, you can't see any of the detail in her hair while it's going to her pigtail, whatever you call them, girls. You can see all the hair coming to her ponytail. That's right, ponytail. You can see all the hair coming to the knot where the ponytail. Where on the PC, it's just a big, soft, giant texture. Now this is a little bit interesting, where I actually was looking at some of these this video, you know, from IGN, and surprisingly, some of the stuff I actually liked more from last gen. A few things, and it seemed like where they really tried to push last gen hardware was on very small scenes, because if it's a very small scene, they can use more polygons, they can use bigger textures and so on, so they can kind of push the hardware to the limit. And over here we have the PlayStation 4 version, and here's the PS3 version. As you can see, the PS3 version is much brighter. We can see a little bit more easier just to see the detail on her back. Also, you can see the rocks, the ground a little bit more. And here is the 360 version versus the Xbox One version. And again, it just seems like they use brighter colors. It looks a little bit more of a cartoony look, maybe, you know, but I still like it, you know. So, you know, again, it comes down to art style too. And here's the 360 versus the Xbox One, and the Xbox 360 version is a little bit brighter right over here, you know. So again, you know, it doesn't really come down to what console's more powerful or anything. It just comes down to the art style that the artist decides he likes. Now here is the Xbox One version and the PlayStation 4 version. and they look really, really, really close. I mean, if I had to call one, I don't even think I could on this one. They look, I don't know, maybe the leaves a little bit bright over here, but maybe that's where the character is, where the lighting is. I don't know. Maybe the radio looks a little bit better, but you know, looks like it's a little bit more of at an angle over here. You know, they look about exactly the same. So, okay, now here is the PC version versus the PlayStation 4 version. This is one of the stills where I actually thought the PC version from last year held up quite well compared to the remastered version for the next gen consoles. Of course, the PlayStation 4 version does look better, and it looks a lot better. As you can tell on the pipe, there's a lot more rust cracks over here, which I actually, thought was actually really cool that they added that in. Over here, you just have that pipe, and it's just a regular plain old pipe. And of course, the lighting on her face is better. Also, they added technology where light actually goes through the first layer of skin that gives that glow look. And I actually do like the rocks over here better on the PlayStation 4 version. Now here we have the Xbox One version versus the PlayStation 4. And as you can see right over here, it looks like underneath her neck and her boob area, it looks like there's a little bit more shadow detail compared to the PlayStation 4 version. Now we're going to blow this up, and her boob right over here looks like it's less pixelated, and right over here it looks a little bit less I don't want to use the word flat. I'm talking about the texture, not her boob. She has nice boobs, but as you can tell, the texture does look a little bit softer, where this one looks a little bit sharper. It seems to be similar to the other picture that I showed you with her shoulder. So let's just bring this down again, and you guys can just see it, right? So it looks better. Now over here, these almost look identical. The only thing that I can see is the that lighting that you see a little bit on the shiny part of the hair, which you can see right here as it comes down. On the PlayStation 4 version, that is not there. So yeah, if I had to call it, it looks like the Xbox One version does look a little bit better from the hair, but over here we can see more lighting effects over here on the PlayStation 4 version, which that does look interesting. But maybe there was a light or something flashing, and maybe it flashed in the PlayStation 4 version, whatever, maybe it's rotating in the game. So I would say her hair looks better in the Xbox One version. This part looks better in the PlayStation 4 version, but I'm a little bit interested in what's really going on over here. Now we have the Xbox One versus the PlayStation 4, where Lara Croft is outside. And as we can see, the lighting now does look better on the PlayStation 4 version on her arm. If you're looking at her right arm, the lighting does look better on her arm right over here. I was very surprised about that, because it's just weird that the lighting looks better when she's in the caves and the dark areas, and when she's outside, the PlayStation 4 version looks better. Also, it looks like there's a little bit more detail, on her shirt and on her pants a little bit more than the Xbox One version. Here's the Xbox One version, PlayStation 4 version, Xbox One version. And as you can see, that she doesn't have the rag over her arm, or the scarf, or whatever you want to call it. See, that was just an artist thing where they, for whatever reason, he didn't put it on her arm on the PlayStation 4 version. Now here is the PC version versus the Xbox One. In this dark scene, I really think the PC, even though it doesn't have the, it's a little bit of the older engine. The engine did get updated for the Xbox One, the PS4. This is one of the scenes where I thought the PC actually came pretty close to the new remastered version. Now over here we have the Xbox 360 version versus the Xbox One version. And I actually like the look from the 360 version more than the Xbox One version. As you can see, the lighting just looks better. Now I'm not even sure if, let me just say this, like as consoles get older, developers come up with techniques to sometimes fake effects because the hardware can't do it. So I don't know if this is actually light coming from the torch actually hitting these polygons, or maybe they just, made this texture very bright, this wooden texture of these stairs and walls to simulate, because when she's running up, you would just assume it's the light coming from the torch. So who knows about that? Maybe they're actually using real lighting in the Xbox One to bounce off the wood and so on, where this one could actually just be a bright texture of wood. And again over here, here's another one which is kind of, it looks brighter, looks more detailed a little bit in the 360 version. That's a little bit surprising. Again, different art styles. And over here it's brighter, and here it looks a little bit more, her pants a little bit more crushed, and you see more detail better. Even the white over here on the rope looks more white, like the white balance is better too. And over here on the 360 version, you can see, I guess this is an airplane, you can see inside the airplane better, where they made this version darker. And again, same thing. This one looks like the sun is just rising at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Where this one looks, maybe it's around 4 a.m. or so on. Now we have the Xbox One version versus the PlayStation 4 version. Again, an outside, outdoor still. Also, I just want to look at the snow right here. The snow looks much better on the PlayStation 4 version compared to the Xbox One version. Even the sharpness on the PlayStation 4 version looks better. And also the lighting on her arm looks better on the PlayStation 4 version. Again, who knows? Maybe the artist got it right on the PlayStation 4 version, where the artist, wasn't getting it right later on or something. Or maybe the art style that the artists that they have at these studios just thought however they were playing around with the lighting looked better when they were playing with their port. Now here is the the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 version, and maybe I like the color of her arm a little bit more over here. Maybe there's a little bit more detail on her shirt over here, and there's more, you can see like this boot color over here that's a little bit more brownish or something. So I don't know, it's like half. I call this one almost like a tie kind of, but it looks like this white over here that's on this truck, this paint, looks better than the white that's over here. And the tire, it's a little hard. I would say the white snow over here in the mountains looks better on the PlayStation 4 version than the Xbox One version. And that's about it. So basically, certain parts of the game will look better on the Xbox One. It seems like it looks better. Tomb Raider looks better when she's like in the caverns and stuff, but when she's outside, it looks better on the PlayStation 4 version. It's hard to say which one actually looks better throughout the whole entire game unless you really play them and then pixel peep. Also, I'll just say this, if you want to play at a higher frame rate, PlayStation 4 version is for you. If you want to have a better experience, maybe with lighting effects when she's inside, and the Xbox One version is for you. Or if you want to have a better experience when she's outside, then maybe the PlayStation 4 version is better for you. It's a hard call. Both versions look great. I mean, we all know that the PlayStation 4 does have more frame rates and so on, but like I said before, it really comes down to the controller. Whatever controller you like the most, that's probably the version you should probably pick up. So once again, guys, this has been mp4podcast.com. Let me know what you guys think. Which version do you like better? Do you have both consoles? Which version are you going to get for yourself? Or if you don't have a next generation console, which one would you buy? If you were going to buy a next generation console, would you buy the PlayStation 4 version or the Xbox One version? So that's it, guys. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, as it does help out the videos quite a lot. And once again, if you're new to my videos, hit that subscribe button, as I'm always making new videos all the time. Take it easy, guys, and stay safe.